What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Every Week We Follow. My word, it's been a busy week this week. Games on Saturdays, midweek games, and now we are at the weekend with the FA Cup at Villa Park, 5:45 kickoff, where we welcome Newcastle. And today on the show, we've got John from the True Faith Newcastle podcast. John, thank you so much for coming on, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Just basking in the glory of sacking Thomas Frank on Tuesday night. So finally got a good result away from home. Only won 3 games. So going into that game, by the way, Gary, we had our away record was the same as Spurs' home record. So we'd played 12, won 2, drawn 2, and we'd lost the rest, or drawn 4 and lost the rest, or something ridiculous like that. But so we're now, our away record is now better than Spurs' home record.
So. There you go, mate. I'm sure the Spurs fans are very grateful, because from what the word on the street was, they wanted him gone way before they played you guys. So,
I mean, they were singing "You're getting sacked in the morning" in the ground. I mean, when it gets to that stage, it's difficult, isn't it? Really, to come back from that.
It becomes untenable, doesn't it? It's a shame, really, but I think he was out of his depth, and it'll be interesting to see what direction Spurs go in. But anyway, I digress about that. So just before we get started, just a quick intro. If you're new here and you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give us some hypes, like it, whatever you want to do. There's a QR code down here in the corner. If you hit that, you can donate to Acorns. We can win this wonderful football behind me. We'll be doing a charity evening, hopefully towards the end of the season. We're trying to raise £1,000 for charity. All of it goes to Acorns Children's Hospice. We're at £400. So if you can spare £5 or whatever you can afford, hit that QR code and donate. So yeah, let's get into it then, John. This is our second home game this week. I'm after our performance against Brighton yesterday. I've always been so attracted to the FA Cup, like always from when I was little. And obviously, I've just had the pleasure of being on your Patreon channel. So and we've just spoke about it on there. And there's such an affiliation of I don't know, passion and just occasion. Like, I liken it to the Super Bowl, like, because American football, like, is, you know, it's that event in terms of what it does in America. You know, the whole country comes to a standstill, and it's a whole day of celebration, and that's what I grew up with the FA Cup. And I've been really torn this year because I didn't expect us to go strong in it, and we did it in the last round against Spurs. And I wasn't expecting to kind of go. I thought he would rest players and literally focus on the Europa League and the Premier League. But I think Emery wants to win everything. So as a fan, I'm like, maybe we should just rest players and kind of let this one go to the side, or do we go strong again? Now we've got a depleted squad, so I'm pretty much sure he's going to rest players. But now it's upon us, and I'm you know, you get past this round, it's the quarterfinals, right? And then it comes back to me that Villa need to win a trophy. You know, with 30 years in the making this year, it would be the icing on the cake. What has been a fantastic season. So that's my thoughts on it, mate. So what about you from a Newcastle perspective? Obviously, you won the Carabao Cup last year. Obviously, the league form stripped off because of the Champions League. It's another chance for silverware, right? So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, my opinion on it is that because our league form is so poor, like, I can't see us finishing in a European spot this year. Now it might be early to make that call, but we just haven't had that consistency. You know, I said before, we've won 3 games away from home. That puts massive pressure on your home games. And then when, you know, you play like we did against Brentford, the other night, and, you know, that was poor. You can't keep putting that pressure on your home games and expecting those points to come, and then think, oh, it'll be all right, because you can't do anything away from home. So no. I think for me, the Premier League's kind of gone. We're not going to get relegated, but we're not going to finish in a European position. So if you're not going to attack the FA Cup when you're in that position, when are you going to attack the FA Cup? Look, winning the League Cup last year was the best day of my football supporting life. Like, there's nothing that comes close to it. You know, I didn't know what winning a trophy felt like, and, you know, nor did, you know, any Geordie that was at the age of under 60 did they know what it was like for Newcastle United to win a trophy. And so when you think of it that way, I think coming into this season, as much as it would have been great to have got to Wembley again in that competition, there's something special about the FA Cup, and we had an opportunity last year which we kind of threw away. And I do think there probably is that edge on the club now where, because we've won a trophy, that's probably not ingrained in the players as much to be like, right, well, we've got to win something, but they still do want to win silverware. They're professional players and they want to do well, and I think that's what being a football fan's all about. It's about trying, have that dream of being able to win something. I don't, as much as David Hopkinson, our CEO, talks about it, I don't see us winning the Premier League or challenging for it in the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of competition that we should be attacking. So I think, I want us to kind of go as strong as we can in it. I understand the arguments financially about, the Champions League. That provides you so much more revenue. That helps you catapult the journey and all that stuff. But there's just something about the FA Cup. There's something amazing about the fact that every, the team that I grew 5-minute walk around the corner from, Heaton Stanton, they enter the FA Cup most years and play in the qualifying rounds, and the fact that they're in the same competition as Newcastle United are at the minute, that's there's something really special about that, and that's something that no other competition has. It's the oldest football competition in the world. That it's the one where if you said to me Newcastle are only going to win one more trophy in your lifetime, it would be the FA Cup for me. And I got pelters on our YouTube channel when I said that. Because, how can you do that against the Premier League or the Champions League? Surely you'd want that more. And it's like, no, there's just something. We've kind of lost the Premier League and the Champions League to corporate in a big way, and I just think there's something still quite special about the FA Cup that I cling on to, and that's why I think it would be an incredible one to win. So I want us to go for it.
Oh, 100%, and I expect you to thoroughly. I'm thinking with your league position, I'm nervous about this game because I think this is the one that you've got to play for to try and salvage something from your season. Like you say, you highlighted there that it's unlikely that you're going to finish in the European spots. So this would be, a great way of stabilising you, I guess, in terms of, because I worry about that, with your owners, and we've spoken about this before when I was on your podcast about how similar our clubs are. Like, we know that both clubs have got wealthy owners that can spend, but obviously because of our financial restrictions, you've got to keep turning it over, right, in some way. So trophies or European qualification is the only way.
Selling your women's team.
Selling the women's team, obviously. Can't do that anymore. We just about got in on that one, mate. Now, obviously, last season, we went all the way to the semi-final, went to Wembley, had a disappointing result there. It was, we just didn't turn up on the day. And now there was John McGinn, who's obviously out injured at the moment, but he was interviewed after that game, I think, and he mentioned, obviously he was gutted because he basically publicly said he'd love to win the FA Cup with Villa. Now, obviously, he's not a part of the squad at the moment, but whereas I think a large portion of our fan base are happy to probably let this go and balance the Europa League and pushing, the Premier League, because whether the pundits like it or not, we are in a title challenge. We're in the conversation, right? We are 6 points off Arsenal. Like it's not beyond the realms of possibility with 12 games to go. No one's talking about that we could, rise up and do that. And as the games come thick and fast, it's those are the moments where you kind of you need your best squad kind of competing at the highest level all of the time. And I think there is a chunk of our fan base that will go, if we're in the FA Cup, it's going to be difficult to maintain the standards that it is to push for, a league title or to win the Europa League, because that Champions League qualification is going to be crucial for us going into next season.
It's interesting. So I was talking to me and one of the other dads from football. We coached the under-7s team, and he's a Hearts fan, massive Hearts fan, and But I said to him the other week, because he was like, "Oh, we've got whoever in the Scottish Cup," and I said, "Is there part of you that's like, this year, actually, let's just focus on the league, because how many opportunities are you going to get?" So I can totally understand and rationalize that argument. I said to you earlier, didn't I? I feel like you are title contenders, and I didn't say that lightly. I think you're the best side that I've seen at St James's Park this year, quite comfortably, possibly apart from Barcelona. I think you're the best side that I've seen at St James's this year in terms of the way that you attacked the game, the way that you played, you controlled the game, like, quite frankly, and the second goal comes at exactly the time it needed to, and the game's done, right? And I think championship winning sides do that. They win when they need to win ugly. They find a way of doing it. Yes, you only won 1-0 against Brighton last night, but you won again.
Yeah.
Like, you're just on this roll, and no one is really talking about you because there is the odd occasional blip in there. But Arsenal and City are capable of blipping at some point, and I think all you can do is just continue that momentum to give yourself that chance. So I absolutely don't think that you're out of the league at all. I think the Europa League's your best chance of a trophy this year because
I agree.
of the quality of the competition. I said you on our channel, didn't I? 16th versus 17th in the Premier League, contested the final last year, which gives you an idea of the level of that competition in terms of the rest of the country. And we've seen it in the Champions League this year as well. And I'm not sure how you found that last year, Gary, but the quality of some of the games that we played at St James's, like Bilbao, PSV, and can't even remember now, but Benfica, the three sides that we played at St James's Park, and they were all really comfortable. We went to USG and we beat them 4-0. We should have beaten Leverkusen. Like, we put ourselves in a position to beat Marseille and threw that away. Like, so we should have probably comfortably finished in the top 8. But that gives you an idea of these European competitions now. The Premier League's so dominant. So, you've got opportunities to win stuff already. Don't be too greedy. You don't need the FA Cup, mate.
No,
it's not. It's not something for you to be worried about.
Absolutely. And I think, having thought about it over the last 24 hours, as much as like I say, I love the FA Cup and what it stands for, and as you mentioned there, like the fact that it involves everybody, and it's just, you dare to dream, right? That anyone can win this competition, and that's the beauty of it. But I think from where we've been in the last 3 or 4 seasons, Unai Emery talks about this a lot, about legacy. And I don't think it's just about winning one trophy for Unai Emery. I think it's about going on and putting us where we are competing year in, year out for Champions League spots and for titles. And yes, the trophies obviously will always determine the success. But if we can win the Europa League, and if we can finish as high in the league as possible, then it just puts us in such a strong position going forward. And I think that's what's kind of the aim, really. Don't get me wrong. Look, if we were to win on Saturday, I'm got all my fingers and toes crossed that Birmingham City beat Leeds United, and we can have some mad derby day. That would be lovely. Just because I know that we'd absolutely batter them if we played them. It would
just because we did it at Sunderland last year doesn't mean that you do it at Birmingham this year. Be careful what you wish for, mate. Honestly,
mate, we've basically been copying you, mate. That's kind of what we're trying to do, right? So no, it's all to play for, mate, and I think it'll be a good game. I think you'll come and try and attack us, which often plays into our hands. We're happy with that. Unai Emery, like I say, is a possession based. He likes to bring teams on, and we like to try and break through the lines. Having said that, like, that's how teams do beat us. If they press us well enough, we give the ball away, and we struggle with that. And same if you do decide to play a low block, which I don't think you will, we struggle to break teams down from time to time. But having said that, I read a stat the other day that we've been one of the top teams for breaking low blocks down this season. But that's when we've had our midfield intact with Yuri Tillemans and McGinn and Boubacar Kamara. So it's been slightly different in the last 3 games, but it's going to be a good one. Anyway, I'm going to pause there, John, because we're going to break it up, and we'll get back to our team lineups and our score predictions. But I'm going to hit you with our hat-trick quiz, mate. It's something we do with our opposing fans. It's just a little bit of fun. It's 3 questions. Can you score a hat-trick? There's the tap-in, the curler from the edge of the box, and then the thunder bastard from the outside the area. And you can just get bragging rights, basically. But it's just a bit of fun. And we're going to ease you in nice and gently, like I say. So question 1, are you ready?
Go for it.
Let's do this. Okay, so this is for the tap-in. Right. What was the score in the opening day fixture between Newcastle United and Aston Villa at St James's Park in August 2023?
It was August 20. This is the tap-in. I want to say it was 5-1.
I can give you multiple choice if you're struggling.
5-1?
5-1. Easy tapping. There you go. It's one where Tyrone Mings tore his ACL, and we just lost Buendia about a week before in pre-season. It was absolutely devastating. But we still went on to finish the season pretty strongly, so it wasn't all bad. Right, so so first one, he made nice tapping. Okay, so onto the curler from the edge of the box. Right, you've got it. You've sifted it out onto your right or left foot, and you can see that angle, mate. And all you've got to do is just stroke it in there. It's a finesse shot. So this is a Villa-related kind of question, but it involves Steve Bruce, and obviously he's been involved with Newcastle. So
great.
Here we go. In 2018, there was a vegetable thrown at Aston Villa manager Steve Bruce by a disgruntled fan during a match. What was that fruit?
Cabbage.
Or what was that? It was a cabbage. Yes,
I think that was an easier question than the first one.
Yeah. Well, it's funnily enough, right? So I tested these out on a mate that I used to work with who's a Newcastle fan. I was like, look, I'm going to ask these questions on the show. Let me know. And he didn't know that.
Wow.
He was like, I don't really follow. I was like, well, mate, it was quite a famous thing in 2018, but he didn't know. So I guess it's what you know, right? It's easy when you know how. Okay, so this is the Thunder Bastard, the hard question, mate. But I think you'll get this, if I'm honest. Right, it's not that hard, but we'll see. Well, anyway, name the player who has played for both Newcastle and Aston Villa and is known for his incredible longevity and has appeared in over 100 matches for both clubs.
Ooh. So he's over 100 matches for both clubs.
Yes. He played for us first before he came to you.
Right, okay. Right, that's probably a good clue. But it's not. Do you know what it is? I've just my mind's gone blank because I was the players that sprung to mind. Like initially, when you're asking about Villa and Newcastle, I was thinking was Steve Watson and Aaron Hughes as well. I think's played for both clubs as well.
Yeah.
But both of them obviously came through Newcastle's academy and moved on. So this is going to irritate me massively. Premier League era. I've got
for sure.
There'll be loads of Newcastle fans screaming the answer. Longevity. No, I'm gonna have to pass. I'm gonna clue.
Pass. Okay. So the answer is James Milner.
Of course.
Who was just completed.
He didn't play for you first.
Did he not? What?
No, we signed him from Leeds. So he played for Leeds. We signed him from Leeds. We then loaned him to you. He was then.
Oh no! Yeah, you're absolutely right,
us, mate, and then we sold him to you.
Yes. Yeah, mate, I stand corrected. That's another classic. Every week we follow. We sat there. Yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. We're known for our beautiful knowledge of the game, mate. We don't make many mistakes. Right? No, yeah, you're absolutely right. But it was James Milner. So. Mate, you got two. So this is what the VAR question, mate, the bonus question to kind of see. Okay. So you can still get your hat trick. Name two players, right, who have played for both teams in the Premier League era other than James Milner.
Well, I named two before, didn't I? I said Aaron Hughes and Steve Watson.
There you go. He's on the money. Nice, easy one for you, mate. In the end, it worked out all right.
Ronnie Johnson, I think, is another one.
Yeah, you could have had Shay Given, Naby Solano.
Oh, Shay Given.
Shay Given, yeah.
Darren Bent didn't play for us.
Sorry, not Darren Bent. I don't know why I don't. Fabian Delph.
Nope. He went to City.
Did he go to Newcastle? I'm sure he went to Newcastle. Oh, mate, no. I'm having a mare.
He's never played for
the other
Newcastle.
The other one is Kieran Clark.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah,
Kieran Clark.
Do you know what it is? He was a cracking signing for us as well, actually. Like I remember when we signed him thinking that's a really solid, because it was just after we got relegated and Benitez brought him in for the championship season. I thought actually that's something to build on, and he gave us a few solid years. Now Kieran Clark is famed for being one of the reasons why Joe Linton had the transformation he had, because we were playing Norwich at home and Kieran Clark gets sent off after about 7 or 8 minutes. And when he gets sent off, Howe moved Joe Linton into midfield, and the rest is history.
No way. There you go.
Yeah.
Mate, I thought Kieran Clark was an exceptional player, and I expected him to go on and have a magnificent career. It didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't go the way that he probably wanted. But he was great for us. And I think maybe just at the time where our club was not stable enough to kind of give him the platform to go on and onto the next level, really. But so well done, mate. You scored 3. You got your hat trick. I'm going to get little pin badges, I think, mate, and send them out in the post. You scored a hat trick.
Why not?
That's the thing. So anyway, back to Saturday's game, mate. The FA Cup. We'll get into our lineups. We'll do yours first, mate. And if you want to talk us through this and let us know any threats or any changes that would be ordinary to your squad. The floor is yours.
Yeah, mate. It's difficult to read at the minute, is what I would say. I think I probably wouldn't make as many changes, but I think this is the good thing about this competition is it probably does give us the chance to try out something a little bit different. Now, we tried 4-2-3-1 in the Bournemouth game in the last round of the FA Cup, and he played Voltemada in the 10, and he played Wissa up top. Now, Wissa and Voltemada were both on the bench midweek. As was Tonali, as was Lewis Hall. So I think they're almost like certain to start. Asula came on and Wissa didn't play at all on Tuesday night, which is why I think he's going to pick him to be that focal point. Wissa has played on the wing before for Brentford, so I can see that. And then really the question is who do you trust in midfield more? Do you trust Jacob Ramsey or Joe Willock? And the answer to that, as you know, from being a Villa fan, will be Jacob Ramsey. We don't, obviously, Miley, we think is still injured. I think Trippier needs a rest. Alex Murphy, I'd be playing at left back and I'd be playing Hall at right back. But he may well play Jacob Murphy, may play a different Murphy at right back and play Jacob Murphy there and play Hall on the left. So it'll be interesting. But I do think he'll take this opportunity to rest Chow. I think he'll rest Pope. So I don't think this will be too far away. He could also, it's very likely that he goes 4-3-3 or I'd be very, very surprised if he went for a back 5 just because I think he needs to take this opportunity to rest a couple of those defenders because we haven't had loads of injuries this year, but they've been concentrated. So we've had, we've lost Share probably for the rest of this season and he's out of contract at the end of the year. There's a potential that he's played his last game for the club. Unfortunately, he's such an amazing servant for us. But I think because of where we've had the injuries, obviously Livramento was a massive miss as well. It has just that's where we've kind of felt the strain really. And then of course Bruno came off on Tuesday night and nobody really knows how bad that's going to be. So when you're looking at all those bits together, I think this is kind of what you end up with. What it will mean, though, is we should have a fairly strong bench. So it means that if we were to go with something like this, if you've got Barnes, if you've got Gordon, both sitting on the bench ready to go with that pace, Alanga as well, actually, there's a good chance Alanga plays there instead of Willock. You know, there's a few different possibilities, but this is kind of... and this is what I've landed on because it's a little, again, it's similar to the system he played in the last round. But it also gives us the opportunity to rest a couple of players. A couple of questions because I'm starting to feel that Bruno doesn't want to play against us because he didn't play in the league game, did he? He's got obviously a coincidence, which I'm happy about because I think he's a fabulous player, by the way. But my question is obviously in a season that he hasn't really played, he's come back from injury. Wissa, obviously massive signing, massive amount of money spent on him. What are your thoughts on him since he's been back? I think initially when he first came in the side, he looked sharp, and he got a goal on his debut, which was in the League Cup quarter final at St James's Park. That was his first start, I should say. It wasn't his debut. He played against Burnley the week before or whenever. But I think in his first 2 starts, he scored in both of those games. And I think people are starting to think, right, well, actually, Wissa's the way to go. And he's probably the man. And he had been given that start a few times, but his form had really dropped off. And I think Saturday was a massive disappointment because he was playing against his former club. The fans were very vocal about the fact that they're not big, they don't like him anymore. And understandable because he did what he's acted to us, right? And I don't think we can, cut, whatever the term is. But you can't mess about. Like that's basically what's happened, you know. So he sat out pre-season pretty much until he's got the move here. He signed with like 20 seconds left of the window to go or something ridiculous. Quite true story. So it literally went to the last minute before he signed for us, and then he goes away on international duty, he injures his knee, and that set him back. And you know, there's a big thing about, and it's not a thing. It's we've seen it, right? You know, if you look at some of the players that have signed for us, they've never always. It's very rare that they come straight into the side. So, with the exception of Sandro Tonali, I think pretty much most new signings have had to really like warm their way in, and you haven't really seen the best of them for a few months. So, I think a good example of that's Anthony Gordon when he moved in the January of 22. He really took some time to kind of get himself up to a certain point. He scores against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last game of the season. He then has a week on holiday before he then goes to the under-21 Euros, the wins player of the tournament. Obviously England win that tournament, and then when he comes back, he has like an absolutely electric season. So sorry, it was the January of 23, and it took him time to get to the system, and Wissa's not had that time. But he also hasn't had that fitness, probably because he hasn't trained for a while because of a combination of his injury and the fact that he didn't train most of the pre-season as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, obviously, finally, before we go into the Villa lineup, our man, Agent Ramsey. Obviously, I came on your show at the start of the season. You asked about kind of him, and I spoke very highly of him, and I stand by that. But obviously, you mentioned then, as you've just mentioned, that he wasn't going to walk straight into that midfield with Bruno and Joe Linton and whatnot to compare with. But you know, and then he's been injured, hasn't he? He picked up a couple of niggles, which I did kind of. I think I mentioned to you in the start that if you can stay fit, you've got a player there.
Yeah.
But he has been injury prone, but the last few games I've watched him, and he seems to have done up. He got the winning goal on Tuesday against Spurs. Like, so, what are your thoughts now as we're half at the business end of the season?
I really like him, but I think he's looked pretty sharp when he came in initially, and I know I was saying that players take a bit of time to warm up, but he hadn't really been near any of the lineups, and then Howe started him at Leeds on the left wing. So he played
yes.
I'm trying to remember exactly what the formation was, but it was when we'd rested Tonali and Bruno, I think, at Leeds. Oh no, we rested Bruno and Joe Linton, and we played Tonali and Miley as two in midfield, and I think we played 5 at the back. It was like 5-2-3, I think. Anyway,
yeah.
But he played Ramsey on the left wing, and he just looks like a quality footballer. He's one of these players. Voldemort is similar. He receives the ball. You can tell he's a good technical footballer, but he also looks to drive forward, and I think that's something that we sometimes miss a little bit. But he's got the quality when you need him to play in that midfield. So it does. There's that real good versatility around him. He was unlucky with his injury. It was a tackle from Sean Longstaff at Leeds that set him out. So it's not as if. And this is the thing we've talked about his injuries. Like when you look at the kind of injuries he's had, it's not like he's out every 2 or 3 months with a hamstring injury. Like he has had a bit of bad luck just in terms of how some of those have come about. But I think there's a lot of people feeling like Ramsey's probably like the future of our midfield, really, because as much as I love Joe Linton, he's not as technical. He isn't at that same technical level. He's a physical powerhouse, and he'll bully you for days and what have you. But I think we need that other option now. I think Jacob Ramsey is a better technical version of Joe Willock in a lot of ways in terms of the kind of threat he gives you. Willock's got that in him. I think Ramsey's a hell of a lot more consistent, and he looks a lot more comfortable on the ball. But the other thing that we noticed was, if you compare Ramsey and Joe Linton in midfield, Ramsey's much more comfortable receiving the ball in tight spaces and giving it off when he needs to, and everything else. So, but it was lovely to hear the reception that the fans gave him at St James's. The way fans applauded him when the lineups were read. They applauded him when he was warming up. They sang his name when he came off the bench. and all of that. And I was sat there thinking, they've given more attention and praise on this player of ours than we have in the entirety of his career with us.
Yeah.
But I do think, in terms of an astute signing, £40 million a lot of money, but I think we'll see that value back.
I,
I really
I
do. He's a good player.
Yeah, I think he will. He's one of our own, mate. Obviously, he'll always have for the majority of villains. I think he will always have a soft spot, and I just hope that on Saturday he's not the guy that unlocks our defence, because he's, like I said, Agent Ramsey. He knows that team, and you've described him brilliantly. That he's a technically gifted footballer who has the ability to unlock defences and get you a goal or two, mate. He really is one to watch, and I think keep him fit and give him some regular football, and I think you'll massive benefits for him. So, part of me wants you to win this game just so he can kind of go on and do something special in his career, because he's such a fabulous individual. I've met him a couple of times at Acorns, and honestly, he's one of the sweetest kids as well. Really nice, down to earth, humble guy. So, yeah. Anyway, that brings us on to the mighty Aston Villa, mate, and how we're going to line up. Here we go. I think that Bissop will probably get the nod ahead of Martinez, just to give Martinez a little bit of a rest, with, like I say, those Leeds and Wolves games coming up. And then back four, I think this is what Emery's tended to do. He's swapped out Matson and Dini when one's played. The other then plays the next game. So I think Dini will start at left back. He could well go with Pau Torres and Lindelof in the middle, but the reason why I don't think he will is just because that takes away any pace in our centre-back pairing. So I think it will be Pau and Konza. And then, unfortunately, Matty Cash is out with an injury, so it looks like Bogard is playing emergency right back. If you guys target this properly with Wissa, and like you say, if you've got Anthony Gordon and Barnes to come on and have a go at Bogard, I think there's some joy to be had there. I will say for Bogard, he was up against Matoma yesterday, so this has been recorded on the Thursday, Wednesday night against Brighton, and he handled him really well, considering I think Matoma was one of the quickest wingers in football, and it was only a couple of times he got past him. So it all depends on how well Bogard handles that threat, and like you say, you've got some options to attack him, so it could be the key there. I think Onana will be rested just because of, again, he's coming back from injury. He's played a couple of games, then he had to rest because his muscles were tired, and he came back against Brighton. So I think he will get a rest at the weekend. And Barkley's come back from injury. I'd love to see him start alongside Douglas Luiz and get some minutes in the tank. And then it's the front four, mate. And this is where we've excelled this season. I think this system that we've played, this 4-2-3-1, whoever's played in the attacking four has done an exceptional job. Obviously, it's usually been led by Morgan Rogers. And he could well start, because Unai doesn't like to leave him out of many games. But again, I just think those league games coming up against Leeds and Wolves are going to be key. So I think he's going to probably rest him. That's what I think. I could get Bihari wrong. But we've had Sancho, who's played the last 4 or 5 games and actually looked pretty decent. Right, so I think he's going to continue to just try and get a tune out of him. Obviously, Sancho can play left or right. I think he'll go on the left this time. Offers a little bit of pace down that side with Digne kind of covering him, and I think that's so it enables him to kind of push on a little bit more. Buendia, been an absolute revelation this season, mate, for us. It looked like he was on his way out of the club at the start of the season, and he looked sharp in pre-season. And I remember thinking, he's just putting himself in the shop window because he's on his way out. But Unai Emery's giving him a second chance, and he's taking it with both hands. Don't get me wrong, he hasn't played brilliantly in every game, but he's had some real magical moments that have won us football matches. And so,
yeah, wasn't a terrible goal at St James's, was it?
No, mate, it was unreal, wasn't it? But he's done that 3 or 4 times this year, and so it's no fluke. If you give him that time and space and around the edge of the area, he can be quite deadly. And what I'm hoping for is these two up front, Alisson and Abraham, mate. Alisson is a young Brazilian kid who we signed in the January transfer window, I believe. Had a little niggle, so hasn't featured, but. There was rumours that he may well be sent out on loan. That hasn't happened. He made his debut on Wednesday night against Brighton. And he is, for me, like a clone of Morgan Rogers. I cannot believe how much he looks like him, how much his mannerisms and physique is just like him. They're roughly the same height, same build. And this kid can move. I've only seen him for 20 minutes, but he got up and down relatively well. He looked a threat. He looked quite hungry for it. So, yeah, first starter for him, hopefully. And hopefully he can be the one that unlocks your defence. And then, obviously, Tammy Abraham, who we got in January. This will only be second start since he's come back. He desperately needs a goal to get off the mark. And what better way to do it than in the FA Cup? So, relatively strong side, mate, really. You know, we are missing our core midfield, like I've said at the start. And Unai has gone strong in this competition, so he could go against what I'm saying here, and he could play Onana in that middle with Douglas Luiz, and that would be our strongest midfield pairing. But I've just got a feeling that, you know, I think he's managing the minutes. So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, there is that argument as well. Like, you don't have any football midweek this week, do you? Because obviously you're into you've skipped the playoff round. Like, we're in the playoffs on Wednesday,
so we have got to rest here.
Exactly. So if you've got a week, you might think, well, actually, I might as well play my strongest lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm, from a fan base, I'm like, please rest some players, because I want to finish this high in the league and win the Europa League. So, but Unai Emery, like he shocked us all in the last round against Spurs, and he went full strength. And so he could well just, all that could go out the window, mate. And he could start Martinez in goal, playing Onana and Watkins up front. You know, so it will all be to play for. All right then, mate. So just to finish off, score predictions. What are we saying? What are your thoughts on this?
You know, before, how you were saying that your team struggled to like break down low blocks and all that kind of thing. We're exactly the same, right? So I don't think you'll play a low block, but you were incredibly convincing a couple of weeks ago, and I just can't get out of my head how dominant you were. But this is the FA Cup. It's the magic of the FA Cup.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say 1-1, and we're gonna win on penalties.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Well, I always struggle to go against the grain and bet against us at home. I think it will be a tight game. I do, and I think, like as I mentioned earlier, we haven't been free flowing and creating in the last 3 home games. We've struggled to make chances, mainly because of that issue in midfield that I was talking about. So I'm going to go with a very narrow 1-0 victory, and hopefully Tammy Abraham to get the goal and get off the mark. That's my prediction for that one. So, yeah. Are you going the game on Saturday, John?
So we applied, but it's weird. So our season ticket the adult ticket has 3 points. And then so basically we have like a loyalty point system at Newcastle. Yes. So you get basically every away game you go, you get a point, right?
Yeah.
But we've got my 2 nephews' ticket, and then we've got the adult ticket. The adult ticket has got 3 points, and then one of my nephews has got 2, and the other one's got 1, and it went down to 3 points.
Oh.
So basically, what's sad really is just the way it kind of transpired. Is that was the first cut-off point, and then people have obviously gone in to confirm that they're taking their seats, and then there were seats available down to like season ticket holders. So, and then we couldn't get there quick enough to get the 3. So the plan was that if we could get tickets, I was going to drive the boys down, and that we were going to be there, but wasn't to be. So there's hopefully, you know, next round, big stadium, might have a chance.
Yeah, well, mate, it promises to be an electric atmosphere, because obviously you get 15% allocation, I think, for FA Cup. So you'll have a big following there, no doubt. Hopefully the Villa Park fans get behind it. I'm looking forward to it, mate. I always enjoy playing Newcastle. I really do. Like, it's usually a good game of football. So if you are going Villains, I'll see you there. I will be outside the warehouse at 5:45. So if you want to come and give me some score predictions, you're more than welcome. I'm meeting up with a guy called Chad, who is on the Villa Park for Life podcast. So we're going to have a bit of a chat before the game. So come and say hi. John, thank you so much for coming on, mate. I appreciate all the insights. Thank you for doing the hat-trick quiz and scoring your hat-trick. Hopefully, I won't see you now till next season. Yeah, but no, thanks for coming on, mate. And guys, if you want to check out John's. Obviously, he's part of the True Faith Newcastle podcast. Go and check it out. It's awesome. It's a huge podcast. Been going for many years. Big channel. We're honoured to have you on, John. So I appreciate you taking the time. I will see you guys all at Villa Park. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, as always, every week we follow the boys in claret and blue. Peace, people. Till next time.